Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo...
Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and author of The College Scam, wasn't just responding to an apology, he was clarifying a war zone. While The View's co-hosts casually lobbed accusations toward 5,000 high school and college students at his event, Kirk wasn't having it. "This isn't about me," he said. "It's about kids who now have to carry a label someone at ABC flung at them for clicks." This wasn't commentary. It was collateral damage.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they.
Sunny Hostin didn't just lose a debate. She hit the self-destruct button and live-streamed it. Charlie Kirk laid down a verbal smackdown so severe, even The View's audience didn't know whether to applaud or start a GoFundMe. Her talking points collapsed mid-sentence. Her poise melted into panic. And Kirk? He didn't debate. He detonated.
What did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last.
There are meltdowns. And then there's what Sunny Hostin did on national television. A full-scale, slow-motion implosion so unfiltered it deserves an Emmy and an autopsy. It wasn't a flub. It was a full-body unraveling, preserved forever in high-definition and algorithm memory.
Privilege is a racist myth that is rooted in bigotry, trying to classify people based on their skin color. If you are a racist, you have something to apologize for. If you're a white person who is not a racist, you have nothing to apologize for. And anyone who makes you apologize just based on the color of their skin, they're the racist and you're not.
To be clear, Kirk wasn't even in the building. No ambush. No shouting match. Just a digital sledgehammer launched from his own turf, ricocheting through studio walls and hitting like a wrecking ball powered by Red Bull and broadband. She got floored by a guy not even in her time zone.
Turning Point conference. The were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against the swastikas, against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
You
let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are
This was less rebuttal, more scorched earth. Kirk uploaded a weaponized monologue wrapped in infographic graphics, crusade music, and just the right amount of smug. He didn't critique Sunny Hostin. He surgically disassembled her worldview and sent it back gift-wrapped in sarcasm.
The final point I'll say is this, is Sunny, you guys thought that abortion was going to be this like quasi-zealot religious issue? I'm pro-life. If people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying though, what gives me promise, and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people were like, yeah, actually, these other 6 things matter more. And good.
It spread like digital wildfire. Within hours, timelines flooded. Reddit exploded. Reaction YouTubers circled like hyenas at an influencer funeral. The View, normally a fortress of liberal comfort, suddenly looked like a cruise ship in Category 5. And Sunny, not screaming, not flipping tables. Worse, she was imploding quietly, fidgeting, blinking, malfunctioning. A masterclass in composure collapse.
Welcome back. You know, in Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me. And it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So.
Intro 7. And that's exactly why Kirk did it. He didn't need facts. He needed flair. His method: strip media figures of nuance, turn them into avatars, and meme them into submission. By the time Hostin realized what happened, Kirk had already dropped 6 viral edits, a merch link, and a TikTok remix. She brought logic. He brought a meme army.
Nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement? I think, Charlie, you could use the money. And your students definitely could, too.
Online, the wolves were howling. TikTokers turned her reactions into dance tracks. Right-wing blogs called it the day optics beat facts. And they had a point. In this age, control isn't about truth. It's about who makes the loudest emotional ripple. Hostin blinked. The internet roared.
Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sunny?
Yeah, and again, by the way, rarely do you get the answer to a question in the question. And her whole question is exactly why there was a rebellion against them.
Yes.
Listen, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. I always differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. I mean, or about North African lesbian poetry. Okay, that stuff's fine.
Once your face becomes a punchline, there's no safe exit. While Kirk took his victory lap in memes and smug montages, the media began eating itself alive. Think pieces were written about her blinking. Yes, blinking. And the irony? Kirk was never even in the room. He remote detonated her credibility like a political drone strike.
We begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
4 years, liberal media believed that reason would prevail. Stack enough data, wear a blazer, drop a Yale citation, and boom, minds would change. But 2025 isn't built for nuance. It's built for body slams. Hostin brought constitutional logic to a meme war. Kirk brought flamethrowers and edit suites. Game over.
Weekend, Turning Point USA hosted a riveting event in Tampa, Florida called the Student Action Summit. Outside of the event were individuals waving flags and engaged in other activities. Well, on Monday's show, members of The View made a few comments about it.
The conservative group Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo-Nazis and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in. You let them in and you knew what they were. Right. So you are
Here's the real tragedy. Legacy media still thinks it's playing chess. But this isn't a board. It's a coliseum. Hostin lost not because she was wrong, but because she looked rattled. She flinched. She blinked. And online, that's all it takes. The footage has since become a digital ecosystem of loops, GIFs, and remixes by people who think Rousseau is a skincare brand.
Today we talked about the fact that there were openly demonstrators outside the Florida Student Action Summit of the Turning Point USA group. We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited or endorsed by Turning Point USA. A Turning Point USA spokesman said the group, quote, 100% condemns those ideologies, and said Turning Point USA security tried to remove the neo-Nazis from the area but could not because they were on public property. Also, Turning Point USA wanted us to clarify that this was a Turning Point USA summit and not a Republican Party event. So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
In the end, image is currency, and Hostin's got hacked. Traditional media might forgive. The algorithm won't. This wasn't a tantrum. It wasn't a meltdown. It was something worse. It was real. And when you bleed online, the circus doesn't wait. It films it, scores it with trap beats, and turns it into tomorrow's trending tab. Sunny may bounce back, but the internet, it never forgets.